Alright, well that's proving to be a bit of a busy morning. Getting stuff picked and weighed out to put in the boxes for our CSA members to come and collect their shares. But now we're going to be spending the rest of the day focusing on making tree hay. So tree hay is literally dried leaves and branches of many different tree species that we can then bundle up and keep until winter. Tree hay has been something that has been done certainly in the British Isles for hundreds and hundreds of years, predates the making of grass hay certainly. So it's a very ancient form of storing summer's goodness for our ruminant livestock and being able to feed it to them in the winter when food is scarce. Trees are such an important part of the permaculture design here at Noth Farm, and a lot of these trees that we've been putting in have been purposely planted to harvest tree hay from at a later date. Of course, some of the trees that we had already here that have grown up over the last 10 years of us living here, like this sycamore, we've pollarded, which means cutting the tree high up the trunk here. Coppicing is cutting at ground level, and of course with a lot of the deciduous trees that we have here in the UK, if you cut them down they regrow. And pollarding is cutting higher up so that if you've got deer or goats, you cut it above browse level, which means that they can't reach up to browse off all the young shoots. We've got a lot of growth in this tree. We're going to have some nice uprights for our dead hedges. You can see our dead hedges here, and we've always got to try and source these sturdy upright sticks or posts, and this sycamore is definitely going to be able to give us that. But yes, the other thing we can do is cut down the regrowth around this time of year, summer to late summer, bundle that up, dry it, and just like a bale of grass hay, we can then feed that to the sheep and goats in winter. But while we've been designing agroforestry systems like this one behind me to be able to produce tree hay and forage for the goats and the sheep, they're still quite young. And so we're not quite ready yet to harvest some of the pollarded alders, for example. We're going to let them grow on a bit. We've got an abundance of trees on the farm that we can make tree hay from. In fact, a lot of the hedges that we've planted over the years are definitely in need of a bit of a prune to keep the sunlight coming in. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So this year, we still don't really need to cut the dedicated tree hay or forage trees. We can still gather a lot of our tree hay needs from hedges such as this one. This is a willow hedge that we've got growing along this access road, and as you can see it's towering above me, and the goats absolutely love this willow. This is a hybrid willow. So the next job is we're going to be cutting that. I'm going to go and get the trailer. Alright, we're starting to make a dent in this willow hedge that's outside the small polytunnel. I've been cutting down the section of hedge that's lying over our woodshed roof, which needed done anyway. I love it when maintenance gives you a yield. and Rosa's been making a window here, getting some of the smaller stuff and just bundling it together. Got one being bundled as we speak.
Yeah, this is really going to help the tomato tunnel, which does surprisingly well considering it's had quite a large hedge to the south of it. It's got a reasonably large hedge to the west of it, and then quite a few trees to the east and the north. It's just surrounded by trees. So yeah, it's great to get, especially the south, just trimmed down. We've got this lovely aronia berry that James planted a while ago here that we're keeping, but otherwise, and a cob nut behind, but otherwise all of this is going to be nice and low, which is great, and obviously food for the goats, so yeah, win-win, and bank stabilisation.
I planted this hedge in 2013. It's just 1 foot cuttings of willow, and that was because it's quite a steep slope down there. That's to the back of our cottage. So put the willow in just to stabilise the bank. It's so great knowing that we're getting dried forage for the goats, fresh forage for the goats and the sheep. We'll be getting a little bit of wood fuel from this because there's definitely some quite thick trunks and branches that are too thick to bundle up as tree hay.
So I'm just making a bundle at the moment with the stuff that James was cutting from the other side there on the bank, and this is much larger than the bits that I was trimming off the top. As he mentioned, I mean, these thicker bits, well, these could actually be used for wood fuel, but the smaller stems here, we're still keeping them in, and the goats will still enjoy these, so they'll definitely debark them and things. So that it's worth still, you know, you don't just want the leaves, at least not for the goats anyway. And we did observe the sheep doing quite a lot of debarking as well. So yeah, it's good to have that. It's also what holds the leaves on, obviously. I've definitely found like the easiest stuff, the stuff that I was started making the bundles with here, you can see is like a really young stem, and that's when you've just and you can snap that off with like, so when you've the previous year kind of coppiced or pollarded your willow, you get this lovely fresh young shoots, and they just snap off, and there's, you know, there is still stem there, but they're just perfect. They're bundled together. They're not all in crazy directions like some of the bigger bits are. So yeah, there's definitely a difference. So this one requires more work because we have to trim the side branches off and bundle them together. But yes, as James said, still worth doing because we get the extra bits of wood, and we're just maintaining this hedge as well.
It'll be great when our pollarded agroforestry plantings that we've made around the farm mature, because we will be able to cut tree hay in a little bit more of a controlled manner, hopefully sort of working around the farm year by year on a rotation of the trees, just treating it like any crop that we would grow. We just think it's so important to be able to feed this to our ruminants, because this is certainly the more natural diet for the goats and the more native breeds of sheep. It's definitely their preferred food. The goats are browsers rather than grazers, so tree is their natural diet. So that's really important to us to be able to feed them on the trees that we've got growing in abundance around us.
We can make this way easier than we can make grass hay. The amount of work involved for us to kind of cut the grass and bale that and make sure it's really dry. We're bundling this fresh. That's a huge difference. There's a big difference, especially in this kind of climate that we've got. You know, it's quite wet in Scotland, or this area of Scotland that we're in, to actually have to rely on trying to kind of solar dry your grass, for example, before you bale that up into hay if you're not making silage. It's difficult. So for us, with our kind of, we have a lot of trees, we've got a lot of willow, and we can bundle it fresh. It's full of nutrients for the goats, has lots of kind of medicinal effects. Yeah, the fact that it's easier is just a total win.
This is some birch that I cut earlier. So birch is enjoyed by the goats and the sheep as well. Many different varieties. We're cutting willow today. There's the birch. We've got aspen, hazel, all with their own different nutrient profiles. Some have more calcium, some more protein. a lovely varied diet for our animals. Of course, what we don't use is firewood. We can also put into our dead hedges. That can become firewood, can become kindling later on if we want it to, but otherwise it just keeps our brash hedges topped up.
I'm just going to take some of the little scraps to the goats right now. There's still quite a lot of leaves here, so they'll enjoy these.
So this is perfect weather for making the tree hay. It's been pretty wet recently, which is great for the garden. But today it's been very sunny and a really strong wind, so it's dried up a lot of the moisture off of the leaves. Obviously we are bundling it wet, and it does seem to dry very well. I had my doubts the first few years we made this, bundling it up, thinking, well, certainly the centre is going to rot or something. But actually the centre leaves, when we opened them up in winter to feed to the livestock, it was the centre leaves that still were green. Alright, so here we are in our one and only dry space, our ruined blacksmith building. We've already got a bit of tree hay in here that we bundled up a month ago. That's dried up nicely now. So what we're thinking is we're going to use this door that's behind me here. As you can see, it's a slatted door. It's a windy day today. I can feel that wind coming right in through those slats, so perfect for drying. So we're going to chuck these pallets on the ground so that the bundles are kept off the ground, and then we're just going to stack them against the door so that they can dry. So we've just come up to this area of silvopasture that we call goose wood. Started off as goat wood, but we realised that the distance that we set the trees apart to give grazing strips in between the productive trees was a little bit too narrow for the goats' needs. So it's perfect for the geese, and it's really great for the chickens who are in here at the moment. We started developing this system about 2 years ago, pollarding the trees that you can see on either side of me here and planting some new trees. So while there is quite a lot of growth, we're going to leave them to grow on for another year or so. That's why we were taking tree material from hedges and things that need cutting back, so that we can let these silvopasture systems mature before we take a harvest. But just now we're going to cut off some of the lower side branches that have been growing. That means we can put the electric netting a lot closer to the tree trunks. And with the branches as they are right now, they'll poke through the netting and cause lots of problems. It also means that when we've got the hens in here, they don't go and lay their eggs underneath these low-lying branches, and when they do, that's very hard for us to find the eggs. So yeah, just some good reasons to kind of tidy up and find the stems of these pollarded trees, and just gives us a bit more tree hay to add to the bundles that we just took down to the smithy. Really hope you've enjoyed today's vlog, folks. As always, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch. If this is your first time watching this video and you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like, say hi in the comments, check out our Patreon if you haven't done so, and have a great day, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.